Please, he whispered. Just promise me you'll try it. For 1,000 days. His father wiped tears with the back of his hand. Son, even if you don't believe me, even if you think it's foolish, just do it. Please. His parents looked at each other again, this time with a mixture of pain and love so deep that Ren felt his heart breaking. Of course we'll do it, his mother hugged him, her voice trembling. Every day, without fail. 1,000 days, his father nodded, joining the embrace. We promise. His father looked at one mana crystal, then at his plant. What do we need to do? Ren knew they were just playing along, that they thought this was his way of coping with the trauma of having the weakest beast, of having to leave for school where he would be mocked for years. But they had promised to try. They never had broken a promise with him. And for now, that was enough. The last 6 days had passed in a blur of detailed instructions and practices on how to process the crystal. His parents followed each step with a dedication that broke Ren's heart, not because they believed it would work, but because they couldn't bear to see the hope in their son's eyes fade. Now Ren had 2 years to get them 2 vitality runes. He would have to pay about 20,000 crystals or find a way to. He would see how to achieve it. If the school was as they said, maybe it wouldn't be so difficult. Or maybe it would. Now, while packing his last belongings, Ren mentally reviewed the requirements for his own spore's evolution. The components were significantly more demanding than the mana crystals and pollen his parents needed. Fortunately, the Imperial Academy of Cultivation and Evolution wasn't just any school. It was one of the city's 3 most prestigious institutions, if not the most prestigious, with extensive laboratories, thousands of specialized cultivation techniques, and, according to rumors, even ancient ruins on its grounds. Do you have everything ready? His mother asked from the door, holding a food package she had prepared for his journey. Ren nodded, unconsciously touching the mantis core that was next to the plates and golden fungus in his back. They hadn't believed how he obtained these things, though they pretended to. How could they believe something like that? The mushrooms in his hair glowed softly as he hugged his parents one last time. In a year, when he returned, their plants would have completed almost 1/3 of the ritual. And in less than 3 years, though they didn't believe it possible now, they would reach a power that would change their lives. He couldn't wait to return for the second time and give them their runes as a gift. Remember, don't miss a single day, were his last words before boarding the carriage that would carry the new students. As the wheels began to turn, Ren took a deep breath. The coming years would be difficult. Being the child with the weakest beast at one of the most prestigious academies wouldn't be easy. But he had a plan. He had knowledge that no one else possessed. And most importantly, he had something to prove. The carriage moved away from the outskirts, heading toward the heart of the city, where the Imperial Academy's spires rose like spears against the morning sky. It was time for the boy with the useless fungus to begin his true path to power. As the carriage pulled away, Ren couldn't help worrying about his parents. Though they wouldn't tell him, Ren's new knowledge had shown him subtle details in their bodies and invocations that were beginning to show signs of mana poisoning. His father particularly. That's why he had fallen ill. Living in the outskirts for so many years. That poor house didn't have a great location, but its land wasn't small at all. They had sold it for about 500,000 crystals. The house they'd sold to pay for his education they would now have to rent, and with their mature iron-rank plants, they would barely earn enough in the kitchens to keep themselves fed. At 60 years old, they were already close to normal life expectancy. Only the base vitality their plants granted them guaranteed an additional 30 years. A precious gift, but not enough in Ren's eyes. If they complete the ritual, he murmured, if their plants reach Bronze 2 power, they wouldn't just gain more strength and better job opportunities. The increased vitality would give them several additional decades of life. It would cure his father. Ren would see his parents only once a year if he managed to gather money for the trip. About 100 crystals should be easy to get, or so he thought. What wouldn't be easy would be getting the runes and materials necessary for his own evolution. But it didn't matter. Ren wanted to excel in school and make them proud, maybe even become wealthy and buy them a house in the city. He knew his parents deserved it more than anyone, but everything in its time. He would have 2 years to achieve his first goal, 8 years for the second, 8 visits total before graduating, 8 opportunities to verify their progress with the ritual, to ensure they followed each step correctly. In the best case, by the 3rd visit already. The carriage crossed through city streets, taking him further and further from the outskirts where his parents would begin another day of hard work, always believing they were following a meaningless ritual just to make their son happy. Ren's fingers unconsciously traced the mantis core in his bag, knowledge about his own spore flowing through his mind. But before he could contract it, he would need to turn it into an egg and evolve his fungus to bronze rank. To evolve, he would first need to absorb the essence of death, charging a bronze rank crystal with the moss that grows on discarded bodies of bronze beasts. Then, he would need to mix it with venomous spores from bronze rank fungi. Finally, he had to seal the process with the mold that forms on some magical runes when they absorb too much mana. He had to absorb those expensive processed crystals for 100 days before consuming the final piece. The piece for the final day was the golden fungus in his backpack. The mushrooms in his hair pulsed softly, as if responding to his thoughts about cultivation. "I'll show them," whispered Ren, his mushrooms glowing with determination. "I'll show them that their faith in me, even if pretended, wasn't in vain." The carriage stopped to pick up more students in the commercial district. Ren sank into his seat, conscious of the glowing mushrooms in his hair. Before, he would have expelled his spore to hopefully avoid mockery, but now, the idea of losing that constant flow of knowledge, of returning to ignorance about beasts and their secrets, was unbearable. A group of 3 children boarded, their fused beasts already granting them cool, visible changes: metallic claws, tiger markings, gleaming scales. They stopped when they saw him. "Oh, look who's here," smiled the tallest, a boy with feline features thanks to his tiger beast. "The rotting boy. Are those glowing mushrooms on your head?" The group's only girl wrinkled her nose. "Can't you at least hide them? It's disgusting." "Leave him," laughed the third, his green scales gleaming. "He probably can't even control his beast properly. Isn't that right, rotting boy? Your spore is so weak it has to cling to your head to move." Laughter filled the carriage. Ren clenched his fists, knowledge flowing through his mind. The first boy's spirit tiger would reach its limit at bronze 1 rank, unable to evolve further due to a flaw in its core cultivation, deriving his spirit tiger into a mature, earthly tiger, instead of reaching greater spectral tiger at silver 3. The girl's beast, a lesser fire eagle, had a defect in its mana absorption pattern that would limit its fire control and growth at bronze 2, deriving her lesser fire eagle into a mature red eagle, instead of reaching greater sun eagle at silver 3, and the third boy's scales. But that knowledge was useless now. It only made it more painful, seeing the defects and limitations in their beast cultivation methods but being unable to say anything without seeming crazy. "At least my mushrooms glow," he finally said, his voice firmer than expected. "Your spirit tiger has a cultivation defect that makes its fur opaque." Silence fell in the carriage. The tiger boy looked at him with both surprise and fury. "What did you say?" the tiger boy demanded. "Nothing," Ren said, turning back to the window. "Just that maybe you should worry more about your own beast than my mushrooms." "What do you know about cultivation, rotting boy?" he growled, his feline features intensifying with anger. "Your pathetic spore doesn't even have true development, doesn't even qualify as a beast." Knowledge burned in Ren's mind, tempting him to reveal more, to explain exactly how the tiger's cultivation would affect its future evolution, and show him how foolish he was. But he bit his tongue. "I'm just saying what I see," he murmured. "What you see?" the boy demanded, grabbing him by the shirt collar. "I'll show you what I see. A weakling with mushrooms on his head who needs to be taught his place." His companions laughed, forming a circle around them. The carriage had suddenly become smaller, more suffocating. "Look, he's even trembling," mocked the eagle girl. "Isn't he adorable?" Ren wasn't trembling from fear. He was trembling from frustration. He could see their beast's flaws so clearly, the irregular mana pattern in the eagle's feathers, the instability in the other boy's green scales. Useless knowledge when you're about to be beaten.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.